And finally, and this is really the critical point, is that they are just much more highly resolved than we are. This is a war of survival for them. They feel their fate is at stake. That is not the case for the United States. America is going to be just fine whenever this war finally ends. That's not the case for Iran. They really care about this, which means they're going to be willing to suffer. Last point, it's not as though this war isn't costly for the United States. I think the estimates that it sort of cost every American at least 1,000 costs of one form or another, including fuel costs. We're burning up a lot of military power. Morale of our military is starting to erode. There have been some reports about suicides from sailors who've been on station for 9 months out there. So all of these things, I think, undermine America's willingness to keep this going forever. It's not at all clear that Iran is going to be the country that cracks first. A few days of strikes, as we had last summer back in June, the 12-day war, a few days of strikes, declare it over and done with, and sort of declare victory and get out. But I don't think it'll work at this point. And it won't work because Iran is not going to accept that. In other words, they won't reopen the straits unless they get some concrete concessions from the United States, whether it's in the form of sanctions relief, reparations, agreements, formal agreements from the United States on various points as well. And it gets back to a point I've made repeatedly, which is they have a long-term interest in making sure the United States learns a lesson here. What Iran's biggest concern is that if this war comes to an end, we'll rearm, recover, and start something a year from now, 6 months from now, at some point in the future. And they want to make sure that the entire American foreign policy establishment understands this was a mistake, so we won't do it again. And that, I think, is going to make them very hard to persuade just by declaring victory and getting out the way you outlined.